Hi, I'm Monica Novo. Welcome to Canvas, a podcast where every episode is a fresh canvas. We dive into stories that make you pause, conversations that open your perspective, and the ideas influencing art, lifestyle, entertainment, architecture, and the way we connect as humans. Together, we look beyond the surface into the moments, the places, and the people quietly shaping how the world moves and why we keep evolving. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us on Canvas. This week, we have an amazing guest and very good friend of mine who I've known for about 10 years, long time. I mean, some people might find it a little short. Some other people might say it's a lifetime. Well, for me, it feels like a lifetime. On this episode, we're sitting down with someone who has helped us shape the way the world communicates, consumer information, and how it connects online, from IBM to Twitter to Pinterest, and now you're at Reddit, which we're going to have to talk about Reddit a little bit. Jana Friedman has lived through this evolution of how the internet is in real time, from the world of early days of digital communities to today's AI-driven world. The conversation goes beyond tech. It's about leadership, reinvention, human behavior, and how artificial intelligence is changing the way we interact, create, trust, and even think. Jana brings a rare perspective from inside the room where culture, technology, and innovation are actively being shaped. Jana, thank you and welcome.
Thank you for having me.
I am so happy to have you here. How's everything? What have you been up to? How are the kids?
Kids are great. It's that end of the year school craziness of just trying to get to the end of the year. But at the same time, business is crazy and in a great way. And I'm traveling a ton. And so it's always that balance.
You're always on the road. I mean, there are times, for just a little perspective for our viewers, Jana and I know each other from real estate aspect of what I do. And we actually live in the same building, which is great. So even though we live in the same building, I don't get to see her that often because she's constantly on a plane.
I feel like you see me coming and going.
It's so true. It's very true. So what's the summer vacation trips for this? Because I know you guys do France a lot.
Yes. I'll be in Cannes in a few weeks for business for the Cannes Lions. Jax will go to camp. And when she gets back, we'll go to the south of France to see my mother-in-law. And then we're going to go to Greece this year.
You're doing Greece? You're not doing Italy?
We're not doing Italy this year. We haven't done Italy in a few years, but we're going to go to Crete and then we'll end in Athens for a few days and just, show the kids.
Taking Dylan to like Mykonos so he can
exactly.
Party.
Yeah, not yet.
He's at that age.
I know, but I'm not going to be the one to take him there. He can do that on his own. But no, our kind of feeling is that we will always go to France every year to see my mother-in-law. And then it's about expanding their world and expanding their horizons by seeing one new country, one new culture, and just seeing the world.
You should have a conversation with Stacey because she every year wants to go to Italy. Not that I'm fighting her on it.
Italy is great.
It is great. And we do it every year. But we used to always do 1 week Italy and then another week somewhere else. So like we would either do like France or we would do Spain or Croatia or Greece or other parts like that. Now we just find ourselves spending the entire time in Italy, which is great. She doesn't really have immediate family there, but we have a lot of friends.
Yeah.
So it makes it that much more enjoyable when we are there. So Reddit.
Yes.
I mean, I've heard of it.
Yeah.
I know a little bit about it. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
My sons understand it. Most younger generation understand it a little bit better. So, I mean, tell us a little bit about Reddit.
Yeah. Reddit is this incredible platform. This year it will be around for 21 years, which is crazy.
21 years?
21 years. And it's a platform, it's a community of communities. There's communities for every topic you can imagine. And Steve Huffman, our CEO and founder, says is the last human place on the internet because it doesn't work without human beings sharing their real perspectives, having conversations about topics that they're passionate about. And my kids literally call it my best friend. Like I use it every single day.
Do the kids use it?
They do a bit for research, but my kids are not totally on social media. While I wouldn't consider Reddit to be truly social because it's not like other platforms, but I use it every day from thinking about whether it's a product decision that something I'm going to go purchase. I'll go do my research on that. When we travel, going to Greece, I was looking for restaurant ideas. I was looking for
So is it kind of like I don't want to say a blog, but I mean, because it does. I mean, when you read up on Reddit, it's like a social platform where communities interact and talk and pass information and provide details and research and updates and advice.
Yeah.
Like things where it's almost like a review center.
Yeah.
It's kind of like how I look at it. Because I know Tegan uses it if he's looking up something or if he's purchasing something or if he's going to research something, he goes to Reddit. He's like, Mom, I looked it up on Reddit and it showed me like a lot of people are saying, don't do this, don't do that, or it's not good for that. They've had bad experience or they've got a great experience.
Yeah.
And they move from that point. But I'm kind of assuming that, because I think some people have the misconception that Reddit is a social media platform because you do post on it. You can physically post on it.
You can, and you can also just go to read and to search and to research on it. But I think that like the incredible piece of it is that it's truly human. And it's human because it's people giving their real life experiences and ideas and helping each other. I was telling you before this, so my mother-in-law, we were moving her from Paris to the south of France to an assisted living community. And I've gone through this with my parents in the US, but trying to do it in another country was a completely different story. And I went to Reddit to an elder community and just said, tell me, like, what's the best way to transport an elderly person from Paris to the south of France? Should we look at flights? Should we look at the train? And it's truly people that are there just to try to help and to share their real experiences.
So were you able through Reddit to get the information that you needed, how to transport your mother-in-law from Paris to the south of France?
I got great advice. Imagine that with any topic, regardless of your age, of your demographic, where you live in the world, people are going to Reddit for advice and community.
Are companies using Reddit as a communication platform internally? Like we all know about Slack. I mean, Slack is something that's used. That's not a social media based platform, but it is something that allows actual human people to communicate and search and have groups within groups to be able to communicate.
Not so much, I would say, like inside of organizations, but I think you are starting to see customer service at times because you'll definitely see go on, I'm a Delta frequent flyer, and I'll definitely go to Delta's, subreddit too, because the communities are called subreddits to see what people are saying. And I think at times brands will use it as a way or a company will use it as a way for customer service. Different than when I was at Twitter. At Twitter, it was used as a customer service tool. If you had an issue, you would tweet at the company and they would they would DM you back and there would be a response for customer
See, I didn't even know that
service.
because I really didn't use Twitter that much either. I have an account, but I can't remember the last time I went on it.
That's probably okay. A few changes over
Wait, now it's called X?
Yes. But I think this is more for true help and advice from human to human at this point.
Interesting. So I guess you've watched technology evolve because you've been at so many different platforms. With now AI, because clearly AI is a big thing. It's kind of like what's driving the ecosystems in our social media. What excites you most about AI being involved, or do you have concerns that we may lose the human connection?
Yeah. I started early days in this whole technology world and was part of Web 1.0. I did venture-backed startups. I did shutdowns in the late 90s and early 2000s. I'm going to really date myself now. And I love being at the forefront of innovation. And that is truly what has driven my career. I think that we are in a completely different evolution right now with AI, that technology has brought incredible innovation through healthcare and education and how we communicate with each other. There's a lot of good. And this stage is moving really fast. And it's changed. I mean, I've never seen the speed to this level in my entire career. And it's scary, in my opinion, because I think people are losing the ability to think critically. And
that is so true.
That's the number one when I think about my kids and when I've, gone to their schools and said, tell me how you're going to teach this generation to think critically, because that's the only skill that matters.
Well, you're right. And you see it now. I could say I'm pretty guilty of going to whether it's Claude or Perplexity, which Perplexity is my favorite. For me, I think it's probably one of the best. I tend to call her Lexi. She's way better than, and chat's good. And clearly I've known chat from when it first started, because I remember when Tegan was in college, he had said to me, "Mom, have you heard this thing called ChatGPT?" And I'm like, "What is that?"
Yeah.
And he explained, and he said a lot of kids were using it to do their papers and thesis and things like that, where it was so far ahead, professors couldn't tell what was what.
Right.
Now there are programs that you can use to determine whether it was used by AI, if photos were modified via chat or any other Gemini, which also has new modifications. And it really is taking away, and you're right, the critical thinking, the ability to use your brain. I mean, I can say, going now back, where I'm going to date myself, that we used to pick up the phone, punch the numbers in, rotary dials, push tone, whatever, or a payphone, and you had to memorize the telephone numbers of who you were calling.
Right.
Today, we don't.
Yeah.
Because you tell your phone to call so-and-so, or you tell your phone to open the contact, or you just press a button and you don't have to think about it.
Right.
So it's almost like it's dumbing us down a little bit mentally.
Yeah.
And not using the critical thinking, whether it's for something of work, whether it's something simple as knowing a telephone number to call.
Right.
I know my wife's, I know my son's. I can't remember my parents' number because I just tap a button. So I agree with you 100%.
And I think that it's that human interaction that is being lost. That, look, I go back to my kids. Like I still like picking up the phone and calling, my friends and calling my parents or my siblings. But I think that our kids are not even necessarily texting with each other anymore. And so when you go back to the rotary phone, we would have to pick up the phone, speak to our friend's parents to ask for our friend. And that sort of human interaction, I think, is getting lost.
Well, we've seen, I'm sure, on Instagram and Facebook and all these other TikTok, where it shows from back in the day how we would go out. We were out all day. We weren't on phones. We weren't on technology. There were no games. Though Atari came later on down the road, and the Sega system and all that. But we were out, and we knew we had to be home back home for dinner when that street light went out.
That's right.
That's how that was our basic calling card of get your ass back home, and dinner time, and then you do your homework, or you did your homework before you went out.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
But it wasn't on phones, on tablets. And I see people when I go to restaurants, and if the one thing I was guilty of a long time ago, and Stacey and I've made it a point of, when we go to dinners with friends or even with our kids, our phones are in our pocket.
Right.
You do not pull your foot out. Do not put your phone on the table.
Yeah.
Because you want to be present. You want to be present for your friends. You want to be present for your clients. You want to be present with your kids and have a conversation.
Yeah.
How we used to when we were kids, and sit down and have dinner and talks.
Yes.
Your parents would be like, how was school? What'd you do? This, that, everything. But it is a little frightening that we are potentially losing that human touch. And I think we will.
Yeah.
It's inevitable. I think with artificial intelligence, I think with technology, I think with how the future is evolving, it will, I think it might happen. I don't know how soon, but I think it'll happen.
And I think that that sort of goes back to your original question. I love where technology is taking us, right? It is really, there's so many parts of the world that have gotten better because of it. And I think human beings are craving some of the simplicity from before this kind of wave. And that there's that balance that people are going back to adopting the technology, but yet wanting to go back to, what you were saying, having a conversation at dinner.
Yeah, I feel that we rely on our phones so much. We rely on our computers so much. We rely on our tablets. And even to, like I said, even to entertain little kids.
Yeah.
Instead of giving them a book.
Yeah.
Read a book.
Yeah.
My previous guest, on one of my episodes, Isaac Boots, he is a voracious reader.
Yeah.
He reads every day. And he's every day he tries to hit 50 pages in a book. He was reading over the weekend when he was with us, Catherine the Great, which is a 600-700 page book. And he was like, this is something. Meanwhile, you could watch a documentary, you could watch a movie, something referencing to Catherine the Great, but reading the actual book for him brings him back to that time.
Yeah. I think there's I think this younger generation is actually, the pendulum is, I'm not saying it's truly shifting, but I do think that they're starting to reject some of the social media. And that's
kids are not
good.
drinking now. The younger
Right.
generation,
Right.
it's like liquor sales are down.
Oh, yes.
They're just opting to not drink. They're not, I mean, some kids are still clearly indulging in, weed and mushrooms and things like that. Who cares?
Right.
As long as there's a balance.
Yeah.
But the fact that they're not, where alcohol was probably one of the biggest things growing up for us, it was like, oh, underage, you're like, get a bottle.
Yeah.
It's not like that anymore.
No.
Kids are really, the young generation are truly, truly being far more healthier.
I agree. Yeah.
Which is a good thing.
I think it's great.
It is a great thing, not to veer off into health and all of that. But Reddit feels uniquely positioned with the AI conversation that we were just having. Do you feel that Reddit could potentially lose the authenticity of what it has now within the communities, or do you think it will stay true to where they are with like that honed in what do you call them again? Subreddits.
Yeah. No, because it only works because there's human beings involved. It's human. So every subreddit is built by human beings. There are human beings that we call moderators. They set the rules for the subreddit. They, say like, if you want to post, these are our rules, like you have to follow. And it is real human beings that are writing, that are posting questions, that are responding to questions. It literally only works because there's human beings who are the communities. And so where we're using AI is just to help to surface the answers. So if you go on, there's like a little, kind of bar that you can ask a question. And that's helping to comb like all of the possible answers or communities that are talking about your question.
So you put in a question and it gives you all the subreddit, like I guess subreddits, but like I would call them subfolders, like where it's like, okay, you can go into here, potentially find the answer or go here. So it gives you a list of everything.
So essentially you can join a community that is a topic that you're interested in. Going back to the elder care example, I, have joined r/elder care. I did the same thing with joining r/Crete because I wanted to get, some ideas for Crete. So you can join a community. You can read just what's in there. You can search that community for answers and topics that you're interested in or questions you may have, or you can post a question.
That's cool.
It's really cool. It's truly it's the last place too that on the internet that people are really engaged. They're writing, they're reading, they're not just mindlessly scrolling like you see across other platforms.
Scrolling, yeah. I definitely see that. It's, I didn't realize that you could, I knew a while ago, but before I didn't realize that you could actually see your screen time on your phone.
Yes. I'd rather not look at that for myself.
I mean, there are a lot of things that you go on and you look and people send you things and sometimes you get a lot and sometimes I can't.
Yeah.
Like I'll go in if I have to post something, whether it's related to work or the podcast or a birthday for a friend that I want to acknowledge it's their birthday and do a little something, I'll do it.
Yeah.
But to go and like scroll and it's just the constant, it's such a time sucker.
Yeah.
It really is. And it's, I always tell my kids and friends and try to live by, time is precious.
That's right.
Time is precious.
Yeah.
For every minute, second, hour, day that you lose by not achieving what we all have goals that we want to do. And if we waste our time and don't bother sending that, let's say, I'll give you an example. I'll tell my kids, go reach out. So-and-so asked me about you because they wanted to book you to do something. And you should ask them, when are they free? Reach out to them. Here's their contact. Get it done. Yeah. I'll get to it. 10 minutes later.
Yeah.
Hey, did you reach out to so-and-so and find out so you can secure something? Because they asked me a question. I'm telling you, and you need to follow up. Yeah, I'll get it. No, I asked you 10 minutes ago.
Right.
And it's not about doing it immediately, but it's about why not do it immediately?
Yeah.
Because it takes 1 minute to respond.
Right.
Especially if you're sending a text message.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, what happens? Did you reach out to so-and-so? Did you follow up? Oh, I forgot.
Right.
That's my point.
Yeah.
So that's where, for me, time is so precious. And I feel that a lot of us squander it so much by social media, TikTok. I have a TikTok account, but I can't remember. I can't even tell you how many times I've been on it.
Yeah.
And that's only because I think my niece set it up for me. but I do. I get worried. I get worried for the younger generation. I worry for like when my kids decide to have kids.
Yeah.
And they're,
I think it's going to look so different by that point. Like, I can't even imagine today what it will look like by the time our kids have kids.
Oof. So you continuously evolved across companies that all change the culture in different ways. How do you personally stay adaptable with technology moving so fast?
Yeah. So I love to learn. Like I look, like I grew up in a very entrepreneurial family.
Yes,
My
I do know
dad
that.
was an incredible entrepreneur. My grandparents were. And I think that, I look at like, especially like my dad and my grandparents, like they were sort of visionaries when it came to like business opportunities. And I won't ever compare myself to what I think was their greatness. But I see things that I believe in, and I felt that way about gaming. I was in gaming I felt that way when I got into the internet originally. I was like, I need to get into digital. And then, I was in gaming for about 10 years and putting
Which was
electronic arts. And then I
really
went to a couple of gaming startups where we were, putting ads into video games. So like literally hard coding the ads into or brands into like Madden and NBA Street and Need for Speed. And it was early days of that.
Yeah.
And then we were able to we had a technology that we could dynamically serve the ads. So it looked just like if you were sitting in a basketball stadium. The ads would rotate the same way that they do if you're in the actual, like in an MSG. And so I like being at the forefront of technology and innovation, but it also means putting yourself into situations that are uncomfortable. And that was sort of the path. Like after 10 years in gaming, I knew I wanted to get into social media. Twitter was pre-IPO and it was hyper growth, but I was like, I saw the value in it. And I think it's about truly like sitting in these environments that, look, I don't know everything in those rooms, but I love learning and I love then going and using it and trying it. And that's just kind of pushed me forward. And that's where I get my energy from it.
So what you said there was like uncomfortable, like when you were during in gaming, like how did you find yourself? Because for a woman to be, and not trying to sexualize anything or whatever,
No.
but it's just a fact, being a young woman in a very, very male dominant industry, gaming, sports, all that stuff. I don't think there were very many women who were like coders or it wasn't. What was one of the most like, I don't want to say gut wrenching, but uncomfortable situations you were ever in that maybe transformed you into going to social media? Because social media now then was a far more openly gender type of industry. You had women, you had men, you had everything.
Yeah. I will say, I never felt like there was like a gender issue in these video game companies. I think that it was more from a business value perspective. Because like these gaming franchises are massive. They're bigger than some movie blockbusters, right? Like if you think about Madden and the sales that video game drives.
Yes.
So I would be in rooms with the gaming producers, the developers. We would also have to go talk to the leagues because ultimately the NFL or the NBA or the MLB, like they really owned the game. We were just building the game as Electronic Arts. And we would have to sell the value of why should we put, whether it was, Reebok, which was one of they were the official sponsor of the NFL at the time. And so we sold a package to Reebok to integrate their shoes into Madden. And there was, all kinds of cool things that would happen in the game if you chose the Reebok shoe versus the generic shoe and things like that. But for the developers, they were like, why would I ever put in a brand in my game? It's going to make it more realistic. But that said, my game is great. And so it was a lot of negotiating internally. I was negotiating with the leagues. I was used to negotiating with advertisers, but it was a lot of internal navigation and internal negotiations.
So, but I'm assuming that the leagues like the NFL, the NBA, the MLB, they all did end up doing sponsorships because I think that's just like most sports today. You've got athletes that are endorsed and sponsorships and all of that. I remember when my kids were young and Tyler was obsessed with Need for Speed.
Yeah.
And Tegan was obsessed for, which is the basketball one?
There's NBA Live and then there's NBA 2K.
I think it was NBA 2K.
Yeah,
two
different companies. Yeah.
And you think about it and I'm like, it's kind of like what it is. It's like sports, advertisers, everything.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, I remember, and it's going completely off topic, but I remember when the Super Bowl was on and to place an ad
Yeah.
for a Super Bowl was $1 million for a 30-second ad.
Right.
Now it's like 10 million
Yeah.
or more than that
Yeah.
for like a 15-second
Right.
ad.
Yeah.
So was that kind of like how a little bit of the like sponsors with the games and who got paid, or how was that? How did man make money and how did the advertiser make money?
So for the advertiser, it was about the awareness in the game. Like they
Okay.
knew that like they had a gamer sitting in front of this game for hours who was they weren't doing anything on the side. You can't play your game and be texting on the side. Like
Sure.
you're truly engaged in that game. So if you see that ad, it's likely it's gonna mean something. It's gonna stand out from an awareness standpoint. For the kind of developer, like from the gaming perspective, it made those games more realistic, right? Like it made it because now, like when I watch Dylan play a game, I can't often tell if it's the actual, NBA game the Knicks playing, or if he's like actually playing the game itself. It's so the graphics are so realistic. So by having those brands integrated in the exact same way that they would be integrated in the real stadium, it makes the game more realistic. So there was value
see that.
there. Yeah. And then for the leagues, at the end of the day, like I'm sure there was a rev share that was out of my world, but
Sure.
there had to be something involved, I'm sure.
That's crazy. But it is. Everything is an evolution.
Yeah.
I see how games were back then and how they are. And I think, yeah, you're right, because I was playing. He doesn't play video games that much anymore, but there were times that we're out at the house out east, and we have a very large TV in the living room, and he would have something going on, and I'm like, "Oh, what are you watching?" He's like, "Oh, no, I'm playing." Huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Can't tell.
it was so realistic you couldn't tell.
Yeah.
Or back in the day, it was like you see the little body run and had the little circle
Yeah,
underneath
yeah.
them, and it would follow them, and you're like, "Okay, this is a game."
Not the Atari that we had growing up
Oh
with
my
like
God, I love
Pac-Man and Frogger and those games.
Space Invaders.
Yeah. But I
So much
think like
fun.
going back to your original question, I think back to IBM. I loved, I was at Twitter in the good years and I loved my time at Twitter. It was an incredible place to be in those early days. But I had gotten a call that IBM had wanted to build this division called Watson Advertising. And I knew I wanted to learn AI and I wanted to learn blockchain early. It was a vastly different culture. I mean, Twitter was fast moving. It was hyper growth. IBM is, a massive company
Old school.
and moves old school,
Old
very
school.
slow. And I remember sitting in rooms with these blockchain experts, with these AI experts that had like PhDs in this and being fascinated by learning what they were building, what they were doing. And then I was trying to explain media to them and teach them how media worked. And could we come together and figure out a product to build? I think like that type of like going back to putting myself in uncomfortable situations or uncomfortable rooms where I'm not the expert in the room, but I'm learning. That's exciting.
But you're also bringing something to the table.
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
old school companies, young, fresh minds, I say it in every aspect of every kind of business. Doesn't matter how long you've been doing it and you might feel like you're an expert at it. We learn new things every single day.
Yeah, absolutely.
I always welcome a fresh mind's perspective, what they've seen, how they've learned, and how they develop things or how they do things. Because as our world evolves, everything else evolves.
Yeah.
I mean, I have friends that had businesses. I had a friend who, simple example, going to old school, was he used to supply the ink
Yeah.
to Eastman Kodak.
Wow.
And like all the, like anything that you saw, magazines that were printed, billboards, anything, he was an inker.
Yeah.
And had a huge business providing the ink, I don't know what you call them now today, but, and as everything went digital, it's like he didn't evolve.
Right.
He stayed stagnant in trying to sell ink.
Yeah.
And eventually companies were like, we're not doing it like this. We're not pressing things. We're digitally doing things. So he didn't evolve. The company didn't evolve. Company went out.
Yeah.
Which is sad, but it happens. And I used to say to him, I was like, you really need to evolve. You have to go with the times. But old school mentality, that the fact that at IBM, they were able to say, okay, let's try something new and do something, being old school and listening to a young, fresh mind with a different perspective and a newer perspective. That's bravo to IBM.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely.
Really good.
Yeah.
So how was your time at Pinterest? Because I remember when I met you, you were, I think, towards the end of your time at Twitter.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Similar. Like I remember when Pinterest launched and Dylan was a baby and I saw it and I was like, this platform, perfect for brands. Like I wanted to go monetize it the
Yeah.
minute I saw it. And so it took, a few years, but I joined Pinterest at a similar sort of like business maturity point that I had joined Twitter pre-IPO, the hyper growth. And what I knew is I didn't want to go in and be rinse and repeat to be the kind of
Sure.
same experience, even though different platform, different company, but the same motions. I didn't want to do the exact same thing. So I led a US business, part of the US business. And then I also helped to build a global accounts team where we were focused on some of the world's like largest accounts that had global investment opportunities. And it aligned with how Pinterest was growing globally.
And what global companies were you guys focusing on?
It was a lot of consumer packaged goods.
Okay.
So Nestle, Pepsi, Unilever.
Okay.
There were a few that were media and entertainment kind of companies like the Disneys of the world. There were autos within that kind of
Okay.
cohort of accounts. And there was a lot of operations behind it. It was not only how do we approach these advertisers from a global perspective and how do we like align global deals for them, but then also internally, like how do we structure this and how do we operationalize it, which was really fun to go build a kind of a different operating model that the company hadn't had before.
It's interesting because Pinterest is, I mean, it's fun. You go in and you can, some of it is rinse and repeat because you
Yeah.
see a lot of the same stuff, but it almost became like a mood board platform to put your ideas up. And I mean, I haven't been on it lately, but I think there's now ways that you could actually buy things. Like there are brands that are selling their goods on Pinterest, which is, I think all social media platforms are doing that from Instagram, TikTok, all of that. You can click a link and
Right. It's all about driving shopping.
correct. But it was great. I used to love because you'd want to see something and you just kind of search it or type it in and boom, there it went. And I mean, I know that when I used to have very long hair.
I can't imagine his long hair, Monica. I've never
I know.
known
I can't believe you had me post long hair, but I had really long hair and Orbe Canales always did my hair. And I remember when I told him to cut it, he was like, ooh, but I didn't know like how to really like, you can go on the internet, you can be like, okay, inspirations of how you were going to cut your hair. But the whole thing was also because my wife at the time was going through treatment. So it was like the boys and myself, we were like, just let's cut our hair.
Yeah.
Nowadays, so got it done. He cut it fabulous, of course, because he was amazing. God rest his soul. I miss him so much. But now it's like, if I want to do something different, like I'll go to Pinterest and I'll be like, give me all different variations of short hair. Like my hair's not straight. It's not wavy. So it's got a little bit of a texture. And I'm like, and then boom, it just gives you like layers and layers and layers of like, well, there's this look and that look and this look. And it gives you different angles. And I'm like, this is pretty freaking brilliant.
Yeah.
So and then that's what I used it for. But also a really good friend of mine, Dr. Jake Deutsch, he's a longevity doctor who we've seen for years, but great guy. He's practiced here in the West Village and on the Upper East Side. He bought a place over at One High Line, which was the building that kind of has like the twisted on 18th Street. It used to be formerly called XI. Anyways, he created an entire mood board of what his entire landscaping for because he has a tremendous amount of outdoor space. It was spectacular.
Yeah.
I was like, when he showed me, I was like, how the hell did you do this?
Yeah.
Like, this is brilliant. Most of the times, like if I was doing a mood board or something for like a client to like stage their property before, you'd like go on the internet, take the page, paste it, create like a whole little old school thing. Nowadays, it's like create a, furniture mood board for like this, you put it in and it's like AI does it all for you now. But he did everything on Pinterest, which was brilliant.
So it's so funny because you obviously know our apartment woes with the little flood or the leak that we had, and we had to start over. And we hired designers, and they said, "Do you have a Pinterest board?" And I was like, "Oh, great idea. Like I work at this company. I should actually be using it. And
Yes.
I was like, I have my visions, but it was literally, I went onto Pinterest and like put it together for them of what
You
I
wanted
wanted it to be. And then they went to work from there.
say
Um,
that. That's brilliant.
I think there's like very specific use cases for it. And I'm not a user every day, and it's not, what I would go to on a regular basis
Hmm.
the way that I've done with other social platforms, but it has some very beneficial use cases for sure.
Mm, wow. That's amazing. So, question.
Yes.
Clearly, we've known each other for a long time. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Because with AI, social media,
Mm.
digital behavior, what do you hope to move forward in what you do, whether it's at Reddit or if your career takes you somewhere else to another social media platform? What do you hope to do with, let's say, in the next 5 years and maybe leave behind as you evolve later in life?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've only been at Reddit for a year. I just hit 1 year, and I
Congrats.
love it here in a way that I'm not just saying this because we're on the podcast, but I tell everyone internally there, I love it as a company. I love the people. I love the product. I love what we're doing. So I hope in 5 years I'm still there. But what I do love is I love building. And that's probably the other theme throughout my career. I love building businesses. Even though I haven't, been like the same entrepreneur that my father was and that my grandparents were, I have that entrepreneurial building
Foundation.
energy, foundation, and that's what I love it. And then I think like in similar ways of where, we kind of started the conversation, I always want to do something good for the world. And so I hope that, and what that, that can mean so many things and it's so broad, but I would love to, advise startups or, down the road when, one day I don't know if I'll ever truly retire because I enjoy
I don't
working.
think anybody will ever truly
Yeah.
retire.
But I do like and I love that kind of entrepreneurial spirit. If I could help founders and advise them and how they build their businesses and scale them.
So, different question. Do you think the younger generation views their view of the identity of social media platforms will change? Do you think it will be a positive or negative?
I think it will definitely change. I think we're seeing some of that already in some ways
Okay.
and I don't know all the numbers off the top of my head, but I think that it's shifting a bit. They're massive. Like they're not going away. Right. And so I do think that like this younger generation will continue to use them. But I think maybe the use cases will change a bit. I hope they do because
Mhm.
I just think that human connection is just so critical for who we are as human beings. People need
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
interact with each other.
What's your personal relationship with unplugging with technology?
So I go through waves. Like similar to you, like we do not have our phones at dinner. I want to be present. Before meditation became a trendy, kind of thing to
I
do,
do it.
I was meditating years and years ago and just saw the benefits of that. And it was about trying to stay really present and present in like every moment, right? Because every moment is a new opportunity and it changes. But
That's
if we're
true.
connected to our technology all of the time, regardless of what type of technology it is, we're not present.
Do you still meditate?
I do. Yeah.
Is it, I mean, I do transcendental meditation. I think
Hmm.
most of my viewers already know that.
Yeah.
But, and for me, it's definitely been, I had said before in another episode, it was extremely transformative for me to be able to like wake up, meditate first thing in the morning and not even look at my phone. There are times I don't
Yeah.
even look at my phone till I've come back from walking the dog in the park.
Yeah.
I try not to, and where most people will, get up, meditate, read this, that, and so forth. And everybody has their morning thing, but I also meditate in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And so is your meditation once a day, twice a day? Is it
Once a day, and it's usually in the mornings. But I am still a runner and I'll run to the numbers that are the mileage that I used to. But I think that running is also like sort of like a meditative experience for me because it just clears
it's
my
cathartic?
head.
I
Um,
agree.
but when I finish my runs, I sit down and I'll meditate. And there's something that's so calming and peaceful that, like, kind of that 1-2 together. But I like to do my runs in the morning too. So it's just a way
Yeah.
to start my day.
I used to be a big runner. Now my old body can't handle it, unfortunately. But honestly, Jana, thank you so much. I mean,
Thank you.
I've learned so much about Reddit that I had no idea and was trying to really grapple the understanding of it because it's something I guess that I didn't immerse myself to, I guess, want to learn and didn't quite understand it. So, having you here to really kind of give a fresh perspective and an understanding of what Reddit is and what it does and the community that it brings, as well as the humanity that it still has
Yeah.
because you have that human touch and interaction. And hopefully AI will not overtake it entirely because again, we do know it is taking over a big portion of what our world is. But I really do truly, truly appreciate you. I love
I
you.
love
You
you
know how much I
too.
care about you and the family. And thank you for being so open about everything and willing to pull back that curtain with me on Canvas.
Thank you. This was fun.
Love you.
Love you too.
Thanks for spending time with us on Canvas. Don't forget to subscribe, download, and follow the podcast on all platforms so you don't miss what's coming up next. We'll be back with a new conversation and a fresh perspective.